Hello to every Celt tuning in the day, ready for another proper dose of football chat straight from the heart of Glasgow. The build-up for this evening has been something else, not only because we've got a match under the lights, but because the whole mood around the club feels like it's shifting by the hour. There's this sense of change, an air of anticipation hanging over the place, almost as if the whole stadium is ready to burst with whatever news is coming next, and all of it happening as Celtic step back onto the pitch to take on Dundee. It's that unique mix only football can brew: nostalgia, nerves, excitement, and that wee flutter in your gut before a big night at Celtic Park. And honestly, you can't start talking about tonight without mentioning the man who has been steering the ship these past few weeks. Knowing that this is Martin O'Neill's last evening as interim boss pulls at the heart of anyone who wears the green and white. It's been a short spell, but an intense one, and seeing him back on the touchline brought a feeling that many folk thought they'd never experience again. His interviews brought back that sincerity and charm people have missed for years, and his work on the pitch showed exactly how quickly he managed to pull the squad together and squeeze out strong performances. It's strange thinking that after tonight, we won't have that familiar, experienced face guiding things from the dugout, but at the same time, it clears the path for the next chapter to begin. And that next chapter is practically at the door already. Wilfried Nancy is set to take over with the expectation that he'll be officially announced within hours. Everything suggests he'll be in the stands tonight, taking it all in. And let's be honest, it'd be impossible to imagine the future manager sitting at home while Celtic Park is buzzing just down the road. His arrival comes wrapped in all that natural curiosity that surrounds any new boss: how he'll shape the squad, how he'll handle the pressure, how he wants his team to play, and most importantly, how fast he can get the fans on his side. Anyone who's followed his career knows he's not short on charisma. Just look at one of his most famous interviews at Thau. When he was asked about dealing with an underdog mentality, he cut the question dead, saying he doesn't accept that word anywhere near his teams or his career. That tells you plenty. It tells you he's coming here with ambition, with a strong personality, and with the confidence of someone who fully intends to transform the squad he leads. It's easy to picture that mindset spreading through the dressing room, lighting a bigger fire under the players and pushing the standards higher. Still, as one cycle starts, another closes, and O'Neill made a point of speaking about one of the club's most important figures, Callum McGregor. Listening to him praise the captain with such genuine admiration only reinforces what everybody already knows. McGregor isn't just consistent, he's the heartbeat of the team. His leadership goes far beyond tidy passing or pressing high. It's in the way he drives the group, lifts spirits, and speaks when the moment demands it. He's been vital under different managers and will no doubt be one of the pillars of the Nancy era. It's almost automatic to imagine him becoming the bridge between the new coach and the rest of the squad, smoothing the transition and ensuring everybody buys into the plan. Another point O'Neill mentioned was the opportunity that comes with a change in management. He said that even players who haven't featured much in these recent matches could find themselves back in contention quickly, all depending on how the new boss sees their potential and whether they fit into his ideas. This is the kind of moment when many in the squad start to feel doors opening again. Those on the fringes train that bit harder. Those out of favor suddenly sense a fresh chance. And of course, there's that human side that ties players and coaches together. Shared language, shared background, shared understanding. All things that help build trust fast. But not everything is smooth sailing. The call-ups for the Africa Cup of Nations bring a real problem. With a few players already selected and more likely to join them, Celtic could face a difficult spell without key attacking options. Depending on how many are missing, there might even be grounds to request postponements, though that's still uncertain and will depend both on the rules and on what the new manager wants to do. What's clear is that the impact will be felt, especially since these absences line up with important fixtures. Back to O'Neill. He's just been named Manager of the Month, a well-deserved recognition for the steady, organized job he's done in such a short time. And while the award has his name on it, it extends to the whole backroom staff who stood with him and made sure the club stayed disciplined, structured, and competitive despite all the internal shifts. Their unity was obvious, and that attitude will leave a positive mark as the club moves into its next stage. And in the middle of all this, there are still more layers of internal movement happening. The club released an update on the administrative front, but honestly, that can wait for another time. Tonight's about football, about the pitch, about what actually brings supporters together, which brings us back to the match itself. Celtic faced Dundee, a side coming off a big win after a rough spell. They know stepping into Celtic Park is always a massive challenge, but they'll arrive with confidence. Even so, there's no escaping the pressure on Celtic tonight. After that disappointing meeting earlier in the season, this is a night for reaction, a night to turn the page, a night to assert dominance at home. The injury list is still long, with several players ruled out for weeks and others fighting to return. Some lads have been dealing with painful foot issues, even requiring procedures, so there are real questions about who starts. But even with all that, there are enough options to build a strong XI. The team shape should look similar to recent matches, with a couple of tweaks to sharpen the attack. Some players who performed well in past meetings might return to the lineup, while others could get a fresh chance based on how their qualities match up with Dundee's style. With all matches kicking off at the same time across the league tonight, it's set to be a full-throttle evening for Scottish football fans. And for Celtic, this is far more than just another league fixture. It's the emotional farewell of a respected interim boss, the anticipation of a new manager stepping in, and the urgent need to secure 3 points at a crucial moment in the season. As the night settles in over Glasgow and the floodlights start to spill across the pitch, there's this unmistakable hum building around Celtic Park, the kind you only get when the club is standing on the edge of something bigger than just another match day. You can sense it in the streets around the stadium, in the pubs packed with scarves and songs, and in every conversation that floats through the air. Folk aren't just talking about Dundee or lineups or injuries. They're talking about change, legacy, uncertainty, and hope all at once. It's one of those nights where football feels like it's carrying the emotions of a whole city on its back, and you can see it on every supporter's face as they make their way through the turnstiles. Tonight isn't only about putting points on the board. It's about honoring the steady hand Martin O'Neill has offered during a whirlwind period, and about welcoming the first glimpses of a new era under Wilfried Nancy. Even before a ball is kicked, you can feel the tension between endings and beginnings, a kind of emotional crossroads that football fans know all too well. O'Neill's presence on the sideline for the final time adds a layer of warmth, even nostalgia that settles deep in the stomach. Supporters know exactly what he's meant to the club, not only now, but through the memories he brought roaring back just by stepping onto the touchline again. What makes tonight feel even more significant is the knowledge that Nancy might be watching from somewhere in the stands, taking in every detail, observing player reactions, assessing the rhythm of the stadium, feeling the pulse of his soon-to-be home. There's something special about knowing the next manager is already in the building. The supporters know it, the players know it, and whether they admit it or not, that changes the energy on the pitch. Lads who've maybe felt overlooked suddenly see this as a fresh audition. Those who've been struggling might find a spark, and the ones who've carried the team through rough patches will want to stake their claim as pillars of the future. Callum McGregor, for example, doesn't need to prove anything, not to O'Neill, not to Nancy, not to anyone, but nights like this remind you why he sits at the very core of the club's identity. His ability to dictate the tempo, to lift spirits, to steady the group is the kind of leadership that survives transitions and shapes new cycles. And with a new manager about to take the reins, the importance of a captain like McGregor only grows. You can already picture him being the first voice Nancy leans on, the bridge between ideas and execution, the one who keeps standards from slipping when everything is shifting around them. But football never delivers a clean, tidy picture, does it? Just as the club braces for a new chapter, complications begin to stack. The Africa Cup of Nations call-ups have forced big questions into the conversation. Celtic could be without some of their sharpest attacking threats for a period that demands consistency and resilience. And with injuries piled on top of that, some players dealing with long-term issues, others creeping back from short spells on the sidelines, the squad depth is going to be tested in ways that might shape the early days of Nancy's tenure. The idea of requesting postponements lingers somewhere in the background, though nobody wants to think too far ahead before tonight's job is done. Then there's Dundee, a team that comes to Glasgow carrying both momentum and something to prove. Their win last weekend lifted the gloom of a difficult run, and teams like that tend to play with a kind of fearless energy. They know walking into Celtic Park is like stepping into a furnace. But they also know Celtic have looked vulnerable at times this season. And when a side smells even a hint of uncertainty, they come with belief that maybe, just maybe, there's an opportunity to cause an upset. That's why the first 15 minutes tonight will matter so much. Celtic need to stamp authority quickly, show sharpness, aggression, and the kind of intent that tells the visitors they're in for a long evening. Still, in matches like this, the supporters often play as big a role as the players. There's a collective urgency in the crowd, a demand for a performance that reflects the gravity of the moment. You hear it in the roars when the team comes out to warm up, in the songs that rise before kickoff, in the murmured debates about who should start on the wings, or whether a certain midfielder deserves another chance under the new regime. And every supporter knows they're witnessing a transition, something that'll be looked back on months or even years from now as a turning point. Whether it becomes a positive one depends on what begins tonight. O'Neill, for his part, has carried himself brilliantly through the entire interim spell. There's a humility to the way he talks about his staff, always crediting the group rather than taking the spotlight. He made it clear that every member of the backroom team contributed to the recognition he received as manager of the month. And you get the sense that his final team talk tonight won't be filled with emotion or nostalgia. It'll be practical. It'll be about focus, discipline, doing the job properly. That's the kind of coach he's always been. But when he walks down the tunnel for the last time, after the final whistle, the applause that follows him will say everything. For the players, this match is a chance to reset the narrative of the season. There have been frustrating results, moments where the football felt flat, spells where injuries made consistency impossible, but football also gives you resets, and this feels like one of them. Not in the sense of starting over completely and the league table doesn't care about fresh starts, but in the sense of shifting the mood, building momentum, and preparing the ground for the new manager to walk into a team that's hungry rather than hesitant. The tactical side of things tonight will be interesting. With so many players either unavailable or only just returning, O'Neill will likely lean on familiar structures, a stable midfield, a back line that stays compact, and wide players who can stretch the pitch. The tweaks will be in the small details: who can offer aggression, who can open Dundee up with clever movement, who can give the team that spark in the final third. And of course, with every player effectively auditioning for Nancy's first training session, the intensity should be high across the pitch. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers have been swirling through Glasgow's East End, and by the sound of it, the breeze around Celtic Park is carrying a new name with surprising insistence. Supporters gathering outside the ground, traders in the Gallowgate, even the odd taxi driver with a suspiciously good sauce are all murmuring the same thing: a new Kyogo may be on the way. And the name being passed around, almost conspiratorially, is Andreas Schjelderup. Folk close to the club insist nothing is signed, nothing is sealed, and yet the rumor refuses to die down. Some say Celtic scouts have been tracking the lad for months, quietly slipping into the stands on the continent, keeping a close eye on his intelligent movement and that sharp left foot of his. Others claim the interest only ramped up recently, sparked by glowing reports comparing his instinct in the final third to that of Kyogo when he first arrived and took the support by storm. Schjelderup, still young but already carrying the swagger of a player who knows exactly what he can offer, has apparently been spoken about inside Lennox Town with increasing excitement. There are whispers, too, that certain staff members see him as a natural fit for Celtic's pace and precision approach, a forward who fits the mold without needing to be carved into it. Those within the rumor mill even say his versatility, able to drift wide, dart inside, or play off the shoulder, has only stoked the chatter further. Of course, the club remains as tight-lipped as ever, offering nothing more than the usual polite lines about monitoring options, yet the buzz lingers, growing by the hour. Fans on message boards are already imagining the Norwegian cutting through defences under the floodlights, while others debate whether he truly could follow in the footsteps of the Japanese talisman whose goals and grin made him an instant favourite. Whether the talk has real weight behind it or is simply the latest bout of transfer window fever, only time will tell. But the rumour now has a life of its own. And if the noise around Celtic Park is anything to go by, the name Andreas Schjelderup won't be fading from the conversation anytime soon. Hello, fan? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.